I couldn't find the actual video to this, but it's enough in here for you to get the
The
point.
department says there are no quotas. You're saying there is.
Well, I could tell you, I'm a police officer. There are quotas in the NYPD.
These NYPD officers are speaking out only to the I-team.
But you go hunting, like bounty hunting for an arrest.
Hunting is a very strong word.
Well, we're the predators, they are the prey. Let's not mess around with words.
You hear that? He said, we go hunting. He said, we go hunting. We're the predators. They're the prey. We're the predators that, like, they literally go hunting for Blacks and Hispanics to lock up. Now, this is one of the reasons why I could never be law enforcement. And I just want to be clear. I understand the importance of law and order. I understand we need police officers. That's a given. I understand that. The problem is that many people don't understand that law enforcement, as you know it today, started on a plantation. Law enforcement, as you know today, comes from what they call the paddy rollers. That's where law enforcement comes from, right? These paddy rollers were poor white people that were employed to roam and try to catch slaves or stop slaves on their way to and fro between plantations or on business for the master, right? And so that's the culture of law enforcement. No matter whether it's an Asian, whether it's a Black person, where it's a Hispanic person that joins law enforcement, there is a culture within law enforcement that eventually you turn over to it or you buck up against the system, like these officers. These officers came with a lawsuit and they're bucking up against the system. They're saying, nah, this ain't right. And so you tell me, you ask, they always talk about black to blue. They put their lives on the line. Not all cops are bad cops. Well, this is my thing. If not all cops are bad cops, then what about the cops that are the good cops that are turning a blind eye to what they see? You know they seeing it. You know they hearing the screams. You know they at least hearing about the brutality if they not right there, but they're not saying anything. So they're just as culpable as the bad cops. So that's why I could never put myself in a situation like that where I have to become something that I'm not. And I'm not a monster when it comes to having compassion on my people. I understand people need to be taken down. I understand that people need to be put in check. I understand that people need to get arrested and go to jail for what they've done. But when it comes to racial profiling, when it comes to police brutality, and even though I may not have that same type of energy, I don't even want to be in a situation like that where I have to confront them or I have to, it might turn into a Christopher Donner situation. Like he said, he was a decorated Black man in the Marines, left the Marines to get into the police department, LAPD, only to find out that they out there abusing his people. And so he thinking in his head, he going to be a crime fighter and it's going to be on the up and up. And really, you're just hunting Black and brown people. That's all it's about, making quota, making these arrests, no matter what. If they homeless or what, just take them in just so you can make your quota.
When you witness your partner speak about people of color and refer to them as savages, refer to them as animals, when you see they don't care, when you hear them say, hey, this is America, speak English, I have to interrupt and say, I got this. And then I speak to them in their language. I take them to a different room and I talk to them like a person because they have problems.
The fact that a person could put on a uniform and become that way, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that leads to that.
A lot of these brothers probably grew up from when they was children, just like, I want to be a crime fighter. I want to be a police officer. That's one of the main jobs that a kid wants to be when they're a kid. You ask them what you want to be when you grow up. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. only to grow up and be a police law enforcement and find out that it's about hurting and oppressing people. This is not really to say like we don't need cops, we don't need law enforcement. Of course we need law and order. But I could never be that law and order because of the culture that's in there. I would have to hurt one of my peoples. I would have to see some Caucasian officer do something to one of my peoples and not say nothing and just ride with it. I'm not built like that. I could never do that. So I can never be law enforcement. I can never be, on the force ever. I would rather be like the Black Panthers and patrol and police my communities that way, because at least I know how my people are. And at least I would have some compassion on my people and not just profile them just because.